Howdy y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is A.R. Kavli, and these are the further adventures of Russel Miranda, Gunslinger. Now it has been several months. I've been busy recording another solo game, uh, but I finished that campaign and now I feel like returning to Midworld. Since it has been so long, I'm going to do a brief recap since I had to do one for myself to remember what was going on. Uh, Russell Miranda is now in some kind of strange other world. As he left Midworld, he was fighting Auntie Maud, a powerful ancient vampire. He had been working to help a tribe of primitives in the Great Forest who are being led by an old couple who at one time lived in Gilead, from an important family in Gilead. He went on a quest to get an ancient pistol that had the sigil of one of the knights of Arthur Eld, and he retrieved it, and that pistol was very effective against defeating these enthralled slaves that Auntie Maud had sent to attack the village. As he held it aloft and called upon the power of the Eld, these thrall vampires fled. They burst into flames as if they had been subjected to sunlight, and they were able to be driven off. Russell Miranda then, with the help of one of the warriors of that tribe, rushed back to Auntie Maud's hideout, her crypt, which he had discovered previously and had been driven off because she was so powerful. And as he went into the darkness to confront her, she ran out. She leapt out from this hidden door, this strange door. And he held aloft the sigil of the ancient knight, and she laughed. She laughed at it. This sigil that had incinerated her thralls, had incinerated lesser vampires. She laughed at it because it was the sigil of her husband. That's how long she has been around. She had seduced, she had cucked him, she seduced his din, she seduced and slept with his quartet. And so she had no fear of him whatsoever, and easily defeated Russell. He tried to fight her, but she was just too strong. She had too many powers. She was so seductive. She got into his mind. She began to control him, and he lost all will to fight her. He was only saved by the tribal warrior who had seemingly been killed by her, but had recovered enough strength to make a feeble attack, and it was just enough to distract her. She grabbed the warrior, ripped his throat out, and Russell was barely able to grab his jacket, his satchel, and his gun belt and escape through the door. And he closed the door behind him, barely escaping her. She leapt after him, but with the last bit of his strength, he shut the door and found himself in a strange world where he immediately collapsed and spent days in the strange woods recovering, and would have been completely unable to heal himself had he been attacked upon arrival. Once getting himself back to the point where he had some strength left, he began wandering through this strange world with only his jacket, his duster, his satchel, and his gun belt. Otherwise nude, he cut strips from his jacket to make moccasins And as he explored, he found some Ghost Riders of Tahira, three of them fighting this strange uh, giant cactus creature, ambushing them, distracting them as they fought. The Ghost Riders were defeated by him and by the monster, and he was able to equip himself. One of the things he found was an axe with runes on it, although he's not sure what those runes do. If anything, at this point, he began to chase after the Ghost Rider's horses, and as he was following them, a creature that looked something like a giant werewolf clawed its way out of a cairn, pulled the stones aside, and raced after him. He barely drove it off, but he himself was wounded again. His duster now shredded, the clothes that he had recovered from the Ghost Riders now in tatters and bloodied, but still surviving. And once the creature had fled, he resumed tracking those horses and came across a bunker. And that's where we left off. So as he comes through the woods, through these hills, and sees the horses cropping outside of this ancient looking bunker. He can barely see it hidden in the ground, but there it is, made out of some kind of concrete or steel. He can't tell from this distance. He was hoping to have caught the horses before they got to wherever they were going, obviously this bunker. But now he's waiting. He's hunkered down and he's going to wait to see if anyone comes out of the bunker to retrieve the horses. And of course, someone is going to do that. So someone is obviously going to come out. Let's see who. All right, I was using this. Roll20 has this dark mode, but I can't really read the text very well. All right, so Dorothy or Dana Moore or Morales, the coachman. Okay. So coachman actually makes sense. I think in this case, instead of a coachman, he is, in this case, Dana is the ostler, the person who takes care of the horses for the riders. So as Russell sits back, he watches and he sees a man who comes out not in the glowing clothes of the Ghost Riders of Tahira, but what looks like a very, very worn set of fatigues. He comes out shaking his head, looking at the horses, looking around to see if one of the missing riders may be nearby, not seeing any of them. He gathers up one horse and he takes it inside to the bunker. And now that he's watching from the distance, Russell sees that there is what looks like a larger door that slides up from this bunker, and he takes the first horse inside. Well, Russell He wants to get inside. This is obviously some kind of base that has something to do with the Ghost Riders of Tahira. So let's try our luck with the cards. Let's see what kind of scene the cards will generate for us. I'm going to shuffle a bunch, as I always do, which never seems to help, as I constantly draw like 4 queens in a row. But let's see what we get. Oh, okay, so this time we've got a hard agile challenge. Let's see, so what is that hard agile challenge? So I think, all right, Russel Miranda is going to have to sneak close enough to the bunker and get in without alarming this person, because he doesn't know how many people are in the bunker. He wants to get inside, but he doesn't want for alarms to get set off. He doesn't want this guy to pull out some kind of old world quick fire gun. But it's hard agile. Let's see. What does he have? He has hammer fist, big irons, and a horseman. All right, so he doesn't have any immediate things that will help stealth-wise. But horseman might help. Maybe. I can see a possibility where, because of his knowledge of horses, he might be able to do something. But we'll see. We'll see what he's going to do. So he's not agile. He's strong. So this is going to be a 2-die-6, difficulty 6. Nope. All right. 0 successes and not even doing that. And so he rushes close as the person, as this man in uniform takes the first horse in, and then Russell, he gets close, and then he stops, thinking he's clever, to get while the person takes the second horse in, and then he'll get even closer and closer. But when the man comes back out, he's muttering, but he takes both horses and draws them in at the same time. Russell was counting on having enough room to enough time to get closer, assuming that the guy was going to take in one horse at a time like he did with the first one. But he obviously was just taking one in. Maybe he was the difficult one, so they took him first. Who knows? But the man in uniform takes them, and Russell rushes, and now he still is trying to stay away from or out of sight and not alarm the man. And he rushes around the corner of this bunker just in time to see the door close. God's damn it, he mutters to himself, having failed his first roll after being back for 2 months, I think is what the video said, since the last video was posted. So now he's got to figure out how to get in. So he takes a closer look around the area. Let's see if there's anything. We'll see if there's any kind of wilderness feature that might be interesting. A 2 and a 1. All right, so a 2 and a 1 on our handy sheet here for wilderness encounters. 2 and a 1, a cabin or a hut. Okay, well, that makes sense that there might be some kind of outbuilding, maybe an outhouse for guards. Is it going to be useful though? Maybe. He still wants to try to get inside, but he doesn't know. He still doesn't know who's inside. So he's going to try to scout around. He's going to try to see if he can find something else in the hut. Let's give him another challenge card. Hard Brawny Challenge. Let's see. Let's look for a little inspiration. What kind of hard brawny challenge? I can think of a couple. One having to do with maybe trying to break in someplace. Maybe finding an old lock where he has to break his way in, or possibly waiting around and having to fight somebody, without setting off alarms or whatever. But let's see what Kamai has, which is just the solo table of complex question kind of thing. A barrier. Okay, so to me, barrier speaks that as he's wandering around, he does find this old hut that's near the building, and it looks like there is the floor. It looks like there is some kind of maintenance tunnel, but it's covered up with a very tough door, or maybe some bars. And so he is going to have to try to break his way through it. So he looks out the hut. He makes sure that no one's, because it's going to make some noise, he makes sure that no one is peeking or anything like that. No one's on patrol or snooping around, because this person inside, he realizes he's still expecting these 3 riders, or at least one of these riders, to return with their horses. All right, so that was a hard brawny challenge. Oh, good grief. All right, so 2 failures. So he pounds that, and he pounds, he tries to use his axe, but the maintenance tunnel is just sealed too strong. It looks like there is the wood and the bars and stuff over it, but as he finally makes his way through it, it looks like the maintenance tunnel has been filled with concrete, bricked up, something like that, and he cannot get through. He cannot make his way through. So 2 fails right off the bat. Well, he's just gotta try something else. He's in a strange land. This is like his only clue. He curses himself for not just running up and stealing one of the horses. So he's going to wait. He's going to wait in the. Actually, he's going to wait. Does he want to wait in the hut? Because the hut, it looks like it would offer him some kind of protection, like maybe if it storms. And let's see, on a 5 or a 6. On a 5 or a 6, it looks like maybe it's still used. Otherwise, it's been blocked up, and they don't even store stuff there. So 5 or 6. Oh, okay. So it does look like it is used, at least on occasion. There are some tools that show sign of being somewhat maintained, if not maintained well, at least used. The there's some looks like there's maybe a woodsman's axe, and the head is rusty except for the bit, where it looks like someone has recently at least attempted to sharpen it. So he's going to find himself a place to stay. He's going to try to put the what he damaged. He's going to try to put it back, and then he's going to wait. And while he's waiting, because he's had 2 failures, I think that's going to mean that something's going to happen. We're going to roll a wilderness event and see what happens. 5-3 wilderness event. A storm. Okay, so as he's waiting, a storm starts brewing overhead. Thunder's rolling across the sky, gets very dark, and he's glad that he has cover as the first heavy raindrops start to hit the ground and splatter. But of course, nothing really happens. No one's going to come out. No one's coming out. So as this storm carries on for 2 hours, and it's heavy. It's a heavy storm. Lots of thunder, flashes of lightning, and Russell knows he needs to keep this in mind. This is a very it may be a rare storm for this world, but he doesn't know. Maybe the storms like this happen all the time. So he keeps it in mind that these are very dangerous storms, and if he sees one blow up like this, he needs to immediately seek some kind of shelter. So the storm does finally blow over, and on a 5 or 6, there's some kind of activity from the bunker. Obviously, none of those guys are going to come back, but there may be other people there. Maybe they're coming from a different patrol or something like that. 5 or 6. Okay, so something happens, some kind of activity happens. Let's use our generator, an agreement, an investigation. Okay, well, I think the investigation obviously is going to point towards somebody going out looking for these guys. Okay. I don't even know how many people would be in this bunker. There's obviously underground parts of this bunker because the bunker itself is basically just enough to open doors and get in. It doesn't even really look big enough that you would be able to put the horses in there, but the horses are obviously somewhere in there. So we roll 1 die 6 with just a relative size. The lower, as far as we know, it could just be that ostler and those 3 guys are here right now. So the higher, the bigger the current population of this site. Okay, so 4. Okay, so he of course doesn't know that there's 10 people, but there are enough people. Once the storm passes, he sees 3, the door, the big door where they led the horses in, 3 riders, 3 more ghost riders of Tahira, with their swirling, glowing coats are now mounted on horses. He can't really tell if they're the same or not. The same horses, but they're mounted on horses. And they immediately start trying to back trail, which is going to be difficult after such a heavy storm, but they know they have to. They start off at least heading in the right direction. Let's see. So Russel Miranda, still has to figure out how to get in there. And give him a crafty roll, just to see if he notices something or overhears something, maybe like a password or a name or something like this. Something useful. All right, he's just not having a good time of it. So he ends up he can hear them talking, and as they open the door, there are the three there. He doesn't necessarily feel like he can take on all three of them. Plus, he can see some movements from within the door to what he thinks of as the stables. And so there's three Ghost Riders of Tahira and possibly some others inside. Maybe the grumpy ostler, who knows, other soldiers. The one man looks like he was dressed in some of the pictures he had seen in old books of what the old world soldiers looked like. And so he decides to let them go. He doesn't have a lot of ammo. He's got this axe, which he hopes will do will do something. But he lets them ride on. And then now he's got to decide whether he wants to maybe follow them, maybe try to ambush them, because they're tracking. He knows where that thing is. Maybe he could set up like a trap with that monster and get a horse. But he knows that those answers that he wants are probably going to be in that bunker. So let's see what his next challenge will look like. What will it be? Okay, so standard agile challenge. What will be the communication? Communication and attainment. So attain communication. So he's going to wait. He's going to wait and try to figure out how to get in by sneaking nearby and trying to figure out how they get in. If they use like a password, if they use like a secret knock or something to open that. So he's just going to have to wait for them to see if they can even find the other guys. And it's a long wait. It's like 5 hours. Those guys are out. They have a hard time trying to find them. Do they even find them? I'll say it's a 50-50 because they are familiar with the area. So 4, 5, or 6, they do come back after that long search with at least some of the bodies. Okay, so they don't. As the sun is starting to go down, Russel Miranda is fearing that they are not going to come back. Maybe they weren't going out to search. Maybe they were just, maybe they were transferring or delivering a message or going someplace else and not coming back. But he is patient and he really has nothing better to do. But then finally he hears some talking, and he can see, as the sun's going down, he can see the blue shimmer of Ghost Riders coming back. And so he's been kind of exploring without trying to move, looking for places, good places to hide, and he thinks he found one close enough where he won't get spotted, but where he will be able to spot them and hear them. And so this is going to be, since it's an agility roll, a standard agility challenge. So we see it's got some stealth in there, so that's what we're going to use. And his he does not have it. So this will be like the third. If this doesn't work, this will be like his third failure trying to get into that bunkhouse, into that bunker. And he may just have to go to guns. But he's low on bullets and he's hurt. I mean, he's low on resolve from having been torn to shreds by that monster. Let's see. I think I'm going to give him. I'm going to go ahead and give him. I'm going to give him a resolve point back because he has spent so much time. He was out of the storm, and he has effectively rested and bound up, at least to an extent, some of his wounds. So I'm not going to heal him up all the way, but we'll give him one resolve back as he's managed to rest. And now he sees them coming, and he tries to quickly slink and crawl and to get into this position by what looks like a little depression in the land next to the bunker that has some tall grass growing in it. And so he spent the time, he's camouflaged himself a little bit, put a little mud on the face, and those gunslinger tricks he's learned to ambush the bushwhackers. All right, so this is agility, 2d6 standard. All right, excellent. So he does finally manage to get in a position and things go right. He crawls into the bushes and he freezes because he knows that one of the most important skills when you're trying to stay unobserved is not to panic, is not to lose your nerve. And so the Ghost Riders, they approach, and what he thought he heard was talking was really just some noise from the horses, because they don't talk as they're moving along. It's almost as if they're in a trance as they move. He doesn't think it's like the discipline of soldiers, although it may be, but more like the silent dead is what they remind him of. They approach and they dismount from their horses almost as one and lead them over to the door. And let's see. What kind of... Okay, so it's some kind of communication, attainment. I'm just going to say the attainment is password. So he's got to attain the communication. That's how I'm going to read that. And they call out a password. Let's see. Let's come up with just a random vengeance. Hey, that sounds like a good password for the Ghost Riders of Tahira, the scoundrels. So the one who was in the front of the line of horses, he walks over to the door and he pounds on it, and it thunders like a giant drum, because it's one of those, like a roll up garage door almost, and it thunders, and in the strange otherworldly voice he calls out vengeance. And after a moment the door rolls up, and Russell sees the old man. Well, he's not really old, but the man in the uniform who had taken the horses in earlier. Well, did you find anything? Nothing. We lost the trail because of the rain. We will look again tomorrow. We ain't got time to look again tomorrow. We got things to do. We will look again tomorrow. And the old man, well, I keep calling him an old man, so he'll just be an old man. The old man shakes his head and he starts grumbling at the Ghost Riders. He says, I don't know what they do to y'all's brains, but we don't have time to do that. And they continue arguing. They go inside. Let's see. As Russell is sitting there lying and thinking, he's trying to decide, and it has to be a quick decision, if he's going to, because now he has a password, but now he realizes that if he pounds on the door and opens it, someone's going to immediately see him. And he does have like some kind of shredded clothes, but they've lost most of their glowy effect. And someone is definitely going to see him because they're going to open up. Unless he can trick them, but I mean, they're going to know that someone pounded on the door and called out the password. Let's see. So he did get a 6. All right, so he is able to. He gets up and he slinks over to the edge, very careful to peek around inch by inch, so that he's not seen, so that he can get a good idea of what's inside. Let's see. I'm going to say on a 5 or a 6, by the time he gets there, he finds a good place in. Otherwise, he's going to have to try to sneak. All right, so he's going to have to try to sneak in. There are still people there, but as he takes a quick glance around, the horses are in the way. There is some. It looks like there is some kind of ramp that leads down, but there is equipment that he can possibly try to hide behind. So that's how he's going to try to get in before the door shuts. And in fact, as he's deciding what to do, the old man reaches out and he pushes a big red button on the wall as they start to head down this ramp, and the door starts to shudder as it closes, giving him at least some cover for sound. And he tries to go in and sneak in. I'm going to leave it as a standard agility. It'd be like a double roll here. Let's see. All right, using my best player excuse, my best poor player excuse, he's going to spend a Ka. He's going to spend a Ka, and use his horsemen to reduce the difficulty level from a 5 to a 4. So as he's sneaking in, he looks and he notices that one of the horses is nickering and kind of tossing its head, and almost like a dead giveaway that he's caught the horse's attention. So he immediately freezes and ducks behind something, not great cover, but he ducks behind something and freezes as the last ghost rider of Tahira glances suspiciously over the horse's rump and then dismisses the horse is nickering as just simple nervousness or exhaustion, and then they continue on down the ramp. And Russel Miranda, at the very last second, is able to slide under the door before it closes, and he finds a stack of crates nearby. He's got his pistol out, and he's behind the crates. And now he's inside. He's inside the belly of the beast. Now he needs to decide what to do from here. So we'll call it there. Thank you for joining me on the renewed adventures of Russel Miranda. We will see you next time. Happy gaming.